A few months later, Link and I were at Lake Hylia with our son and Ferries on a family picnic, when the most amazing thing happened. I have always remembered stories being told me by my parents about a noble race of creatures called Griffins. It was told to me that these wise and noble creatures lived in the 12 Black Mountains, just north of 13 Dragon Mount, which was a day's ride from Hyrule. I had never thought I would have ever met one of these noble creatures, until now. Link and I had just unrolled the blanket for us to sit on, while Lily, Navi, and Arya were playing with our son, when Link's ears twitched from a sudden voice. "Jenna, do you hear that?" Link asked, his ears twitching. "Hear what, my love?" I returned, giving him a sideways look. "I hear nothing." His ears twitched again. "You don't hear that noise, honey. It sounds like something is whimpering," Link said again, his eyes scanning over the land on the other side of the lake. "I have no idea what you're hearing, love. I still hear nothing." "I forget that you're not part elven. You're full human. That's probably why you don't hear it. Half human, half elven people have stronger hearing than full humans," Link said quizzically, his eyes still scanning for the source of the faint noise. "You never cease to amaze me, Link, but you're probably right. Do you have any idea where it's coming from?" I returned, my eyes watching him. He shook his head in response. "Not a clue. There's so many other noises mixed in with it that I cannot tell." Raising my head up, I sniffed the air, searching for a distinctive scent. I scanned the air, searched for something out of the ordinary, when a bitter scent of blood and sulfur hit my nose, causing it to wrinkle in distaste. "Link, I think I picked up something. I smell a mixture of sulfur and blood coming from somewhere along the lake," I said, as a worried look crossed Link's lean face. "I think something is wounded over there." "Sulfur and blood? The only place I know of where sulfur is in the Black Mountains to the north of Dragon Mount. But what could be causing sulfur to mix with blood? And how would sulfur get this far south?" Link's gaze returned to the other side of the lake. "I think we should send the fairies to check it out." I agree. They have better sight and smell than we do. I think they will have better luck in finding out where the sounds and smell is coming from, I returned, my body shaking slightly from an uneasy feeling. "Lily, Navi, Arya, come quickly. It's of great importance," Link called, his voice expressing urgency. I watched as the three small hovering lights came floating over to us, their glowing auras flickering with wonderment. "What's wrong, Link? Did something bad happen?" Navi asked. "We need you, Lily, and Arya to check something on the other side of the lake." "What is wrong over there? Did you hear wolfos or something?" Arya asked, worried. "No, it's not that, but I heard something that sounds like whimpering, and Jenna smells blood mixed with sulfur coming from the other side of the lake," Link said, his blue eyes filled with concern. "Sulfur? What? Oh, by the goddesses, the only place where sulfur comes from is in the Black Mountains," Lily returned, her face twisting with shock. "How in the hell would sulfur have gotten this far south?" Arya questioned, her blue aura dimming slightly. "That's what we want to find out," Link returned. "I understand. We will leave now," Navi said as she, Lily, and Arya started to make their way across the lake. "Please be careful," I yelled just before they got halfway across. Link and I watched as they reached the other side and their glowing auras disappeared inside the thick foliage lining the bank. We sat and anxiously waited for their return. Minutes passed into what seemed like an eternity, and they still did not return. Link and I started to grow worried, the minutes turning into long amounts of time. Then, just as we agreed to go after them, I saw a small light emerge from the bank of trees just a short way from where they entered. I grabbed the sleeve of Link's green tunic and showed him the small light hovering over the bank. We started to worry as we only saw one light. getting more worried with each passing minute. Link was getting ready to jump into the lake and swim across when two more small lights emerged from the trees and joined the one waiting by the bank. Breathing a sigh of relief, we watched as the other three small fairies made their way back across and joined us on the other side. With a look of distress, all three fairies turned a shade of bright yellow.
"Link, you and Jenna must hurry,"
Navi cried as she spun in a circle.
"You will not believe this, but there is a wounded griffin over there hiding among the trees."
Link and I exchanged shocked glances.
A griffin?
We said in unison. What the hell would a griffin be doing this far south? I asked, puzzled. I thought that they only lived in the Black Mountains.
I never heard of one venturing too far away from the Black Mountains
unless they had a passenger with a request to go somewhere.
And it's not even that. The Griffins don't just trust anyone,"
Link added, his puzzled look making his blue eyes look dull.
"Whatever may be its reason, we must hurry. The creature is wounded badly, and it needs our immediate attention,"
Aria added with urgency in her voice. Well then, we must make haste. Aria, please stay here with Link Jr. Lily, Navi, please show us the way, I said, as I made my way down to the bank and into the water. I listened as Link joined me, and we both swam with great haste to the other side. Rising out of the water and onto the bank, I stood up and wrung out my saturated dress as Link made his way up and beside me. Then Lily and Navi joined us, their auras flickering with worry.
"This way, follow us!"
Navi yelled as her and Lily disappeared into the thickness of the trees. Following, we entered the thicket and made our way into a small clearing where we saw a sight we never thought we'd see. There, lying on the ground, was a huge white griffin with black tips on its wings and light yellow bird-like claws on its front legs. Beautiful, intricate jewelry hung from its tufted ears and from its neck, indicating it must be of high rank. My mouth just hung open.
Your mouth is hanging open again.
As I watched its crystal blue eyes staring us over. Slowly it lifted its head and its sharp beak opened. Who are you? The griffin asked in a raspy voice. I exchanged glances with Link before he moved forward.
"I just might ask you the same, but the name's Link and this is my wife Jenna, and those two fairies over there are Lily and Navi,"
Link said with a hint of caution. We watched as the griffin's crystal blue eye continued to stare at us, its gaze full of caution and questioning. The name's Dalamar, the creature returned, its beak pointed directly at us. I watched as the griffin struggled to get onto its feet, but without any success, and crashed back to the ground. You shouldn't try to move. You're still too wounded, I advised him. We're here to help. I walked over to him and looked at the huge gashes on his legs and wings. Reaching into the pouch I had attached to my waist, I pulled out a healing ointment and started applying it to his wounds. Now this is going to sting a little, I said as I applied the ointment. Why are you helping me? Dalamar questioned, his eyes watching me. Without an answer to his question, I continued to apply the ointment to his wounds, then dressed them. After I applied the final dressing, I looked into his cautious eyes. There, all done. Do you think you can walk? I asked.
What are we going to do with him? They don't just trust anyone,
Link inquired, his eyes filled with worry. We cannot just leave him here. I think that it's wise if we try to help him get back to the Black Mountains, I said as I walked over to Link and looked into his eyes. I'm not the type of person to just leave something that's wounded behind. I've always been a compassionate person. Link's eyes twinkled as he stared down into mine, his expression softening.
That's just one of the reasons I married you, my love. I agree with you. We should help him. But first, I think that we will have to gain his trust, or he might not allow us to help him.
Link returned. Nodding in agreement, I walked back over to Dalamar. Again, do you think you can get up? I questioned the Griffin. His crystal eyes stared into mine for a moment, then he spoke. I just may be able to. But as I asked before, why are you helping me? Dalamar questioned me again. My expression softened and a small, compassionate smile crossed my face. Because we are friends, and I cannot just leave you here in the state that you're in. Dalamar just stared at me with a cautious and puzzled look, his tufted ears twitching with concern. Perhaps you may be here to help me, but as anyone should know that the trust of a griffin is not so easily gained. Dalamar returned as he slowly rose to his feet. Smiling, I looked directly into his eyes once more. Don't worry, my friend, that should not be such a hard task for us to do. Turning my back, I walked back beside Link, and we gestured for Lily and Navi to help guide Dalamar out of the thicket and back to Lake Hylia. We slowly made our way across the water and joined Arya with our son on the other side. Immediately, Arya jumped up and flew over to me.
Oh, by the goddesses, I say that you managed to get the creature here.
Lily inquired as she floated in a circle in front of me. Nodding, I looked into her small eyes. Yep, but we must get him back to the castle. How did little Link do while we were away? I watched as Arya's aura grew brighter.
Just fine, he's over there by the horses playing in the flowers.
Arya returned as she flew over to him. Looking back over at Link, my smile faded. We must hurry to the castle, love. We must inform Princess Zelda of Dalamar. Walking over to our horses, I called for our fairies to help guide Dalamar, while I secured Link Jr. into the saddle. Then Link and I mounted our horses and headed towards the castle. We had to take it easy, since Dalamar could not move very fast due to his injuries. But after some time and a lot of determination, we made it to the castle gates. We made our way across the wooden bridge and into the bustling market. As we crossed the market, I heard the shocked gasps and uttered whispers of the Hylian people as they caught sight of the magnificent griffin that followed behind us. Look, it's a griffin! By the goddesses, a griffin has showed up in Hyrule. What is one doing this far south? Were just some of the uttered words said by the shocked people of Hyrule. We made our way through the market and down the path that led to Hyrule Castle. When we stopped at the first gate, Palin, another guard I was also friends with, stood still like petrified rock as the pure shock of the griffin sent him nearly ghost white. Oh, by the goddesses, it's a griffin, he cried, his eyes wide as saucers. Where in 14 Gaia did he come from? I thought the griffins only lived in the Black Mountains.
We must see the princess, and fast,
Link added, his words ushering urgency. At once, my lord. Palin stammered as he opened the gate and allowed us to pass. By the time we reached the second gate, word had already spread about Dalamar's presence in Hyrule. There at the gates to Hyrule Castle was Princess Zelda, and Impa awaiting our arrival. Her deep blue eyes turned a shade of grey when she set them upon the massive white griffin.
By the goddesses, in all my days, I never thought I'd see one of the magnificent noble griffins. You honor us with your presence, O noble griffin,
Zelda said as she bowed to Dalamar. He looked at her, his gaze softening upon the look of Zelda's rosy face. He lowered his head, his crystal blue eyes staring down into hers. Princess Zelda, I presume, Dalamar said, his nostrils flaring. With a look of shock, Zelda gasped at Dalamar's knowledge of her name. Yes, Princess, I know all about you. The story of Ganondorf's taking over Hyrule has spread to many lands, including the Black Mountains. Then my hunch was right. The one in the green who accompanied us here is Link, the hero of time. I watched as Link gasped, his eyes growing big. I know all about your great feats, Link, hero of time. We all just stood there, unable to move. The sudden knowledge that Dalamar possessed had us all frozen in time. I cannot believe of all the knowledge the snowy white griffin possessed, but it was often said that those noble creatures never left anything unseen. Please excuse my sudden burst of words without a proper introduction. My name is Dalamar, High Lord of the Griffin Council. The griffin returned, bowing his head down in front of Zelda. Coming out of her state of shock, her gaze returned to the High Lord's face.
Well then, welcome Dalamar, Lord of the Griffin Council,
Zelda said, mannerfully.
Well, my lord, shall we reside to the palace garden?
Zelda asked. With a smile, Dalamar bowed his head in response. After we resided to the garden, Zelda ordered the servants to bring refreshments and change Dalamar's dressings. Then the one question that was on everyone's mind was finally spoken.
So tell me, my lord, how did you come to Hyrule? If I understand correctly, griffins usually don't venture too far away from the Black Mountains.
Zelda questioned as she took a sip of her herbal tea.
You've understood correctly, Princess, but I came to Hyrule under unfortunate circumstances.
Dalamar returned as he picked up his cup in his claws and raised it to his beaked mouth. Taking a sip, he sat the cup back down, his crystal eyes faltered.
You see, milady, I came here not by choice. We griffins are hardened on how far from the Black Mountains we can venture. Even as peaceful a race we griffins are, we still have many enemies. And once such enemy of the griffins are the 15 Draconians,
Dalamar said nonchalantly, his crystal blue eyes staring down into the cup.
We have been at war with the Draconians for centuries. These evil people have captured and tamed the wild dragons from the Poison Lands, training these gigantic lizards into doing their bidding. These dragons were once an isolated quiet species, until they came. The Dark Knights under the follow of the 16 Dark Lord Ariakas of the Shadow Realm. They rampaged and conquered the Poison Lands, capturing the dragons and training them under the rule of darkness. Now these evil knights under Ariakas' evil rule are hell-bent on total annihilation of all who oppose them. Dalamar looked solemnly around the garden, haunting memories filling into his mind. His wings folded in distress as he continued. Their first place of conquest was our home on the Black Mountains. When we opposed them, that thrust our people into long centuries of war against the Lord of the Shadow Realm. Now we, once a peaceful people, are fighting every day of our lives in a desperate attempt to keep from falling under Lord Ariakas' dark control. Dalamar's gaze shifted skyward, his claws gripping into the ground beneath him. One day word came in from our air patrol that a group of Draconians on Dragonback were camping near Dragon Mount. After the council made a decision that I would be the one to check upon the inquiry, I made haste and left on the moment of the wing. Upon my arrival at Dragon Mount, I was ambushed by a Draconian on a red dragon. After a long fight in the air, I was struck and wounded by the dragon's powerful claws and acid breath. In my attempt to escape, I was pursued by the dragon until I lost them in Death Canyon just west of here. Then I continued to fly south until I was unable to go any further, and I crashed down in a thicket of trees by the lake you must call Lake Hylia. I must have been there for 2 or 3 days before your hero Link and his wife found me. Dalamar's head slouched, his beak touching the feathers on his neck. I fear that Lord Ariakas is planning to invade the Black Mountains and seize control over my people. That is why I must return to the Black Mountains as soon as I'm able to fly, Dalamar said, his tufted ears flattening against his head. Zelda's deep blue eyes stared into Dalamar's faltered eyes. Don't worry, my lord. I will send Link along with you on your journey back to the Black Mountains. I think you should stay here the night. It wouldn't be wise to travel until sunrise. But one thing is worrying me now. Is this Ariakas planning to invade Hyrule? Zelda questioned the griffin with fear in her voice. Honestly, milady, I couldn't tell you. For as much as I can tell you, it seems that the Dark Knights have remained solely to the north, but with as much twisted desire Ariakas has, I wouldn't be too surprised if he does plan on spreading his control past the 17 Black Desert. Zelda's fearful look was cast upon me, her blue eyes turning a dull grey.
At that moment I knew that if this Dark Lord from the Shadow Realm was indeed planning a dark invasion of Hyrule, I was going to be the sole protector since of my role as part of the ancient Silverlight race. I was an elemental user, one that wields the great power of the forces of nature, and in that I was the strongest protector Hyrule had. I could tell that within Zelda's eyes she was counting on me if such an invasion should happen. But one thing worried me: if such an invasion happened in the near future, would I really be of any use since I was still expecting? At that point I was 6 months pregnant, and not too sure what the effects of wielding the great power over the elements would have on Link's unborn child. Lots of questions danced through my mind that night as Link and Dalamar prepared for their departure upon sunrise. As Link prepared his saddlebags, I went over to him and gave him a worried look. "I'm coming with you no matter what decision you make," I spat, my face twisting into a scowl. "If I remember when you tried to deny me accompanying you to the water temple, if I recall, you just might have ended up a permanent prisoner of Darklink had I not gone with you." Link's eyes turned a sudden shade of red as he spoke in an agitated tone.
Listen, Jenna, you don't understand. You're carrying our unborn child, and I think that this time it will be too dangerous for you to come as pregnant as you are. When you accompanied me to the water temple, you sure as hell wasn't expecting.
Link went pale. The pain of the memory when he found me near dead on the ground in the temple wrenched his heart. I was able to feel his mind wrenching of all kinds of fears of him losing me or his unborn child. But even in light of his overgrowing fears, I was not about to let that stop me from accompanying him along on his journey. Link, my undying love, I understand your fears and concerns, but I think I'm well enough to be able to protect myself. Or did you soon forget that I am a descent of the great Silverlight race? Remember, I am an elemental user. I returned nonchalantly. Link returned, a cold, icy stare, the blue draining from his eyes and being replaced by a dull, stormy gray.
Jenna, listen this time. I'm making the decision for you. You are 6 months pregnant, and because of that, I cannot allow you to go. So just put the damn notion of going out of your mind.
Link spat, his cold hands gripping my shoulders. Damn it! By the goddesses, Link, I coming with you. I will not sit back and let you go on this journey without my aid. I don't care if you're worried about me, damn it, Link. I'm worried about you, I retorted stubbornly, my hands clenching into fists. Then my eyes lowered as my gaze slowly softened. Link, listen, I care for you. You're my whole world, and I know that I mean the same to you, but I feel that as a mated pair, there are just some things that one of us cannot do alone. Isn't our love based on faith and trust? Aren't we connected together in every aspect of our being? I walked over to Link and into his warm arms, my eyes locking into his. Link, my love, you're just going to have to trust me. This is one part of what our love is all about. Link's hard gaze suddenly softened, his gentle arms holding me close.
Jenna, my life, I do trust you, and I have always had faith in your abilities. I'm just concerned for the well-being of you and our unborn child. I just cannot stand the thought of losing either of you. I still think it would be wise if you stay here.
I quickly placed a finger gently on his lips. I'm still going, I returned softly.
Well, I guess once your mind is made up, Link chuckled softly, I'm not going to be able to change your decision.
I nodded in return.
Sigh. Women for ya. Once their minds are made up, there is no changing it.
Modern women. Yeah, they've been that way all down through the ages.
Link said sarcastically as he softly pressed his warm lips against mine. The night passed quickly, and the sun's first rays were rising over the horizon as I was saddling my horse and making my final preparations for my departure with Link and Dalamar. After we made the final preparations, Link and I mounted our horses and readied to depart. Dalamar emerged from the castle and joined us at the front gate. I checked one last time to make sure my bow, quiver, and phoenix circles were secure before turning my attention to the Griffin. Dalamar looked at us sternly, his wings flexing against the gentle blowing wind. "Are you ready, my friends?" Dalamar questioned. "As ready as ever," Link returned as he eagerly waited to leave. I just nodded. "Well then, let us get moving. We should try to reach the Black Mountains before sundown." Turning my horse around, I started to follow behind Link when Zelda called to us, "Please be careful. May the goddesses protect you on your journey and provide your safe return home." We looked back at Zelda one last time before moving out. "Thank you, milady. I appreciate all that you've done for me," Dalamar said, his gaze soft upon hers. "Don't worry about Link and I. We'll be fine. I'm sure we will return home safely. Just please take good care of our son," I added as a smile of reassurance crossed my face. "Now, my friends, we must move on. Time is of the essence," Dalamar retorted. Nodding in agreement, I resumed following behind Link, leaving the sanctuary of Hyrule behind.
Welcome back to My Inner Life. This is the first new exhibit for the new channel, not a re-upload. And we are continuing on with this thing. Nothing's going to stop us because we have the support of all of these amazing people, particularly Michael Fattori, Zanazira, and Breaksystem BSE. And if you'd like to see your own name up on here, it's as little as $1 a month on Patreon. So thank you for following us to the new channel, and thank you for being you.